What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of NJ Healthy Heat, the podcast. Today, I've got head coach Adam Skonieczki, or as he's known by his players, Coach Sko. We're going to be diving into all things Lenoir-Rhyne. This one's a little bit special to me, as Lenoir-Rhyne is actually my alumni. I'm a fellow alum there, and excited to kind of hear the turnaround that the program's had in recent years due to the large success of Coach Skonieczki here and the team that he's kind of brought in. So really excited to dive in and understand kind of what is happening over there in Hickory, North Carolina. Before we jump into that, this podcast is sponsored by Pure Rush Shades. Use code NJHH10 for a 10% discount. Coach Skonieczki, man, I know that you've been on a lot of these podcasts and people have asked you about, what it feels like to be in Cary, and your answer is always going to be like, it's about the kids, it's about all that good stuff. For you personally, man, climbing up the coaching rankings, getting through baseball yourself as a player, and to find yourself, on the field as a head coach of a team competing for a national championship, what does that feel like for you as a person?
You know, without getting crazy into my coaching journey, it kind of was a reflection of, everything that I've kind of gone through, and everyone has kind of their story. But, I was part of my alum of the University of Buffalo, and they cut the program when I was coaching there in 2018. That was a tough one for me and my family. We had bought a house, we just had our second kid, and more or less at the time, Buffalo was home for us. My wife was an alum from there, and um, I took a job at Southern Vermont College, a little D3 school up in the Northeast in Bennington, Vermont. And long story short, in the second year, they shut the school down. So I had two places where I wasn't necessarily planning on leaving. That kind of the rug got pulled out from underneath me, and 6 years later, right, I'm now the head coach at Lenoir. And I remember standing on the foul line, when the national anthem was playing for game one. And it just for a split second, just thinking about, wow, this is a crazy journey. And I'm a firm believer that everything does happen for a reason. And without Buffalo shutting down and without Southern Vermont closing their doors, I probably wouldn't have ended up at LR, and thankfully I'm here and I did. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. And we've been a staple in the Hickory community for the last 7 years, and it's been absolutely outstanding. The people, the administrators, the alums, the donors, just the players, everything has been through the roof here in Hickory, and that's a big part of the reason why we have had so much success the last 6 years.
Now, honest question, did you even know about Lenoir-Rhyne before you came here? Had you even heard of the program?
So, it's funny, and I'm dating myself a little bit, man, but back in 2007 or 2009, maybe, I played in the Coastal Plains League for the Edenton Steamers. And I remember there were a couple Lenoir-Rhyne players, in the league, just, I'm sure because it's the proximity to the Carolinas and Hickory. So I had known of LR. Now, I didn't really dig and do a ton of research on it. But, when there was a chance of us coming down here 7 years ago, I started to look into what LR had and what Hickory was like. And it really caught the attention of myself and my family. And we've grown to fall in love with this place.
I mean, Hickory as a city itself is blowing up. I think I saw it the other day on one of the best places to live in America right now. It's booming. They're building everything. That beer garden over there downtown. When I went there in 2016, it was just on the cusp of like becoming something. And then after I think they had really renovated downtown, it's really brought a lot of people there. The work that they've done to the athletic department and the building and the facilities that you guys now have really stepped up what that campus is. And I think it's making your job for sure probably a lot easier to be like, look at these great facilities that we have here. Come here, train, and oh, by the way, we're going to compete for a national championship. So your job's probably gotten a little bit easier with those two trophies behind your shoulder there.
Absolutely.
So you came to LR as an assistant, though. So you didn't start off as a head coach. Walk us through what that is and how the difference is between being an assistant on a team and then taking over as the head and then going to that national championship.
Yeah, that's a question I've been asked a lot. Obviously, organically, right? You've been an assistant for so long, and you kind of take over as the head coach here, and Not a ton changed. I'm such a firm believer um, in building an environment, and a lot of people call it culture, right? And we had to work on changing the culture here and making it a spot where you could be um, successful in everyday life on the baseball field. When I felt like leading up to my time being a head coach, we had set the culture, the identity of the program. All I had to do was steer the ship, and I just had to make sure we didn't get off track. And we had such a great group of guys who had been in our program for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, even with those weird COVID years. They knew what was expected. They knew what they knew how to do each day, practice and lift and off the field, on the field, study hall, classwork. I mean, last year was one of the easiest coaching jobs I've ever had to do. We had almost a 3.5 team GPA. Everyone had 10 hours of community service. We didn't get in any trouble off the field. I mean, it was just such an outstanding group, and they happened to play baseball really well. And I'm a firm believer that there's a correlation between that stuff, right? If you do right off the field, you do right in the classroom, I'm going to be able to trust you to pinch hit in the ninth inning with 2 outs and runners on second and third. If you can't take care of your stuff off the field, I don't know how long I can trust you or how much I can trust you. And, same thing goes for the pitching side of things. If I can't trust you to make a 3-0 in the classroom, are you going to really be able to get 3 outs in the ninth inning? Maybe you might. Maybe you might, but I do believe there's a correlation between that stuff. And to me, it was, you know, you work so hard in building relationships with your players when you recruit them, when you get them in your program, that it turns into, for me at least, uh, we don't want to let each other down. I don't want to let our players down. They don't want to let me down. And we're playing for each other. I always tell our guys that I just write the lineup, man. Like I'm with you. I'm with y'all. We're on this journey together. It's not look at me. I'm the head coach. That you guys need to play good for me. No, man. We're trying to go win every game. We're trying to go win a national championship. And if we lose, it's my fault. If we win, it's their fault. And that's the identity I want our program to have and play for one another, not just each other, player and player, but I want you guys to succeed, and you guys don't want to let me down. And I think that's been the really good relationship that we've had between player coach, coach, player. There's a big care factor and a big relationship factor that we really value here at Lenoir-Rhyne, and I think it portrays and you can see it on the field.
Definitely, man. It's already difficult enough to build a culture, I'm sure, with like a team that, like you mentioned, has guys that have been there 3 or 4 years. But I feel like this past year, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys had a ton of dudes coming in from all over the place, a bunch of transfers. I think I listened to an interview and you guys had 20 transfers. How do you get everybody on board in such a short period of time? The easy answer is going to be like, hey, look, they're with each other 8, 9 months out of the year. So, they get caught up to speed. But how do you kind of direct culture in that finite amount of time?
Yeah. Well, to me, man, and I kind of touched on it, like culture to me is such a buzzword in sports or in leadership in general, right? Everyone wants to have this outstanding culture. Um, just because you hire Coach Skonieczki doesn't mean you automatically get this great culture, right? Culture is something achieved over a long period of time. And what can I control? I can't immediately control the culture of a program, but what I can do is create an environment each day that our players can thrive in. And with the environment, I can control, right? We bring energy, we bring juice, enthusiasm. We have fun doing it with a goal in mind of learning and getting better at baseball, and making sure we're doing things the right way. And I always tell our guys, I'm Coach Skonieczki for 3 hours a day. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm an uncle, I'm a lot of things, right? Um, but for those 3 hours, we don't have to worry about anything other than baseball and getting better at our craft. You don't have to
Yes.
worry about the flat tire you just got. You don't have to worry about, your girlfriend's mad at you. Your mom's mad because you spent too much money at dinner last night. You don't have to worry about that. It's 3 hours to get better at baseball with your brothers. And that should be your release for the day. And I tell our guys, if any time it feels like this isn't fun anymore, then go find something to do that's fun. Go play the violin, go play the piano, go take up mini golf. I don't care, but find something that you enjoy doing. We want you to love being at the field. We want you to love playing baseball. And that's part of creating an environment, right? We want it to be a place where 18 to 22-year-olds can thrive in each day. Um, for those 3 hours, you don't have to worry about the bad grade you made on the test. Now, if you close the gate behind you, you have to worry about getting your tire fixed, right? You have to worry about going to tutoring now and call your mom and your girlfriend and fix all your problems. But, out of 24 hours of the day, 3 of them at least should be stress free. We're only thinking about baseball. And I feel like if that's our mindset each day individually, everyone's working towards the common goal, which is getting better and winning, right? Then you're going to have a good group of guys. And that's just what we did. And in the recruiting process, we vet our recruits pretty good. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We value the same things. And we were able to find, like you said, 20 transfers that valued the things that we talk about daily, and don't get me wrong, we've passed on a lot of guys if we don't think they're in it for the right reasons, and they might be super talented. But my job as the head coach isn't to play the 9 best, most talented players. My job is to find the 9 guys that are going to win the baseball game for us, right? And we've done it before in the past where we've had guys throw 97 to 99, but he couldn't help us win a baseball game, right? So he didn't throw a ton for us. And maybe the pros will like him, but I have a win-loss record attached to my name, and we have to figure out the guys who are going to win baseball games for us and have that mentality to go out and actually get the dub, not just look good statistically or measurables or metrics and TrackMan. We want guys that know how to play baseball and want to play baseball.
And so when you're talking to these guys who are coming in from different schools, you're trying to vet them out. They've got the statistics, they've got the body that you're looking for, they've got the metrics all over there. Like, what are the conversations then that you're having to have before they even get on campus to say, like, hey, you're a guy that can come into this program and actually succeed, and you're not going to be a sour apple over here and turn what I've built or what you guys have built into something that you're not proud of. How do you kind of flesh that out?
Yeah, one of the questions I always ask our guys when I'm recruiting them is, what is important to you? And I leave it, it's very vague, right? I leave it open-ended. They can answer a million different ways. And I'm going to tell you a couple of my tricks in case some of the people are watching, but I love people who talk about winning. I love people who talk about winning because to me, if you're going to do something, you might as well do it to the best of your ability, right? If you're going to go sharpen your pencil, you might as well sharpen it as good as you can, right? Why would you still leave it a little bit dull? You want to make sure it's the best. If you're going to play baseball, make sure you're playing it the best way. I mean, the other day, my wife got upset with me because I lost in Monopoly, and my 8-year-old kid beat me, and I was upset for a second, and she's like, "Oh, come on, it's just a game." And I'm like, I know, and I have to get my mind around that, but I wanted to win because that's competitiveness, that's in my nature, and I want guys who have that same. We're like-minded, right? I get along with people better who like to do things the right way. It's why I preach to our guys, make good grades. You're in class. You might as well do it. Right. And sometimes chemistry is so hard that sometimes you're going to make a B in it, but at least try to make an A, do everything to try to max your full potential out. We have to lift weights at 5:45 in the morning. You might as well try to lift really well because you're in there, you know? So that to me is really important. And the guys that want to win, um, the guys who have learned how to win at other programs, because I think winning, if you get too many guys who are super talented that haven't really won a lot in their lives, I think winning is learned. I think you have to learn how to win. And even though you're super talented, you might not know how to win. I mean, there's guys in the major leagues right now that I think are some of the most talented players ever playing baseball that haven't won at a super high level. And you wonder why, I don't know. And I'm not calling anybody out or anything, but I want guys who know how to win and want to win and will figure out a way to win. I also like guys who like to learn about being in a real program. How is it run? Why do you do things? How do you do things? We again, it's the age of the transfer portal, and we don't have many guys that leave Lenoir-Rhyne, and I think partly you said it is the facilities are through the roof, and arrogantly we have an outstanding coaching staff in the office next to me, and we have great people, we have great kids, we have the people in the community really care about Lenoir-Rhyne. So I want guys who want to build relationships here in Hickory, because I want you to want to be here. And to me, when we talk about building relationships, and we're a relationship based program, we think it takes more than a year to build a relationship. To really feel out who everybody is, how you work, how you tick, how we can make you better, how we can develop you as a human, as a baseball player. We want to invest in you, but we also want you to invest in us. And, I think at the end of the day, whether you're here for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, the one thing I can promise you, I can't promise you playing time. I can't promise you, we're going to get you drafted in the 4th round, but I can promise you, if you give your best, have an open mindset, you work hard, we're going to max out your full potential. And that's the promise that I can make to each one of our players.
Yeah, man. I mean, being a player myself, having gone through college baseball, I was very fortunate to be able to hear my name called in a draft, but that's not reality for the masses who get to play. What I tell the kids that I work with now is just the type of person I had to become in order to get drafted, whether I heard my name get called or not. The type of person it took to get to that level, I carry with me now for the rest of my life. Now I'm able to go out into the world behind sports and be successful, run my own business, understand how everything works, open to learning, open to failing, trying all these different things. And I think that cannot be replicated outside of sports, in my opinion. I think it teaches you something about yourself, failure, learning how to win if you're in a program that can teach that, or if you've got the opportunities through high school or whatever it may be. But yeah, I think the message that I want to send out to kids is like, regardless of if you get to go play at the highest Division 1, or you get yourself drafted, in order to be a baseball player in college, period, you have to become a different person than you are right now. And if you keep going in that direction, I promise you, success is going to be followed sooner or later. So that's a great message, man. When you talk about winning, I'm curious what winning looks like behind the scenes in your own life, right? You have so much that you have to give these kids every single day. All right. Multiple months, a year, you're away, and you have to figure out how to tap into more energy that maybe you don't necessarily have. So what are you doing on a daily basis to like make sure you're showing up for, not only your team here, but your kids, your family, your wife, yourself, more importantly? How does winning look like on the everyday basis for Coach Skonieczki here?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. I'm in a, I'm grateful to be a baseball coach, because I can take my off days when I need to. I essentially can make my own schedule. Now, granted, there's a lot of times when I am gone a lot, um, but like today was a perfect example. My kid had bring your bring your dad or mom to lunch day.
Oh, let's
I
go.
didn't have to be in the office at 11 o'clock. I could go, and I'm able to sacrifice that. That a lot of people who work your regular 9 to 5s aren't able to do. So I did it yesterday for my daughter Isla. So I'm able to get away when needed. Again, I'm able to kind of make my own schedule. But with that being said, there's a time when 4 or 5 months out of the year where it feels like sometimes my wife is a single mom, and she takes care of the kids, and God bless her, because I don't know what I would do without her. And um, you know, at the end of the day, she's the one who makes this thing tick, because there are some times when I can't get the kids off the bus, because I'm at a game, right? Or there's sometimes when I miss a dance competition of Isla's because I'm, in the super regional. Um, but without her, I mean, it makes it nearly impossible for me to have a work-life balance, or the success that I've been able to experience, because she takes so much weight off my shoulders. But I do think it is important to have time for yourself, and it's not baseball, 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 baseball. Like I said,
Can't be.
for 3 hours a day, I'm a baseball coach, and during the day, obviously you're working on baseball work, but at 5 o'clock, I'm at Cash's soccer game watching him, and one of the things that I make sure that we do, um, I, baseball practice is 3 hours at the most, and it's going to be up tempo. We're going to sweat. We're going to get work in. We're going to have a fun time doing it. But there's no reason for us to extend that because I believe if you, the longer it goes, the more we lose in our brains. Our attention span isn't there, coaches and players. So to me, I'd rather be more efficient and maybe do a 2.5 hour practice of up tempo, get your work in. We're sweating, we're working hard, and feel productive at the end of the day, rather than elongating the process and being out there for 5 hours a day. And pitchers are shagging for BP. And to me, the only time pitchers shag BP is when we're game day. Um, if pitchers are getting really good at shagging batting practice, they're losing time on being a good pitcher, or they're losing time on doing homework. So for me, when the pitchers are done, whether it's an hour long practice or 3 hour long practice, go home, go get some food, go play some video games, go to Top Golf, like go to the driving range, do something. Because I'll do the same thing. We need our releases too. And, my wife and I love to cook dinner and go out to dinner and hang out with our dogs. Like all that stuff, man, keeps me ticking, keeps me going. Not only does baseball get me up each morning and my family, my kids, but the things we do outside of the baseball field is great. And I think that's so important, finding a good work-life balance for coaches, for players, for anybody in general. For me, I can't let baseball just consume my life. Because at the end of the day, my two most important titles are a husband and dad.
Yeah. Man, I could have used you in pro ball, man, with the no shagging stuff. The amount of balls I have shagged is unprecedented. Trying to just figure out any way to stay entertained, making up games, trying to we had this thing called the perfect rainbow, and it was you would try to stand in left field on the left field line and just keep making your way around in a perfect round, just catching balls until you got the end. That's how
Right.
bored we got. Behind the back
Yeah.
catches, whatever you
Yep.
would do to pass time. Something that I've kind of been thinking about as I'm getting older, and now I'm married and I don't have kids yet, but I'm starting to, mature more as a man throughout, your entire life. But when I was 21, 22, 18, 19, something like that, I didn't really understand fully what, the balance between going all in on baseball and having a life outside of it. I really felt that in order to get to my goal of playing professional baseball, I had to be thinking about baseball 24/7 and had to be everything that I, did. And if I, maybe skipped a workout, then I just would really beat myself up internally because, I didn't do what I needed to do that day. And maybe I just needed a mental break that day, whatever it is. But I just felt that I was always holding myself to an unrealistic standard just because it was, hey, you have to do this in order to get to this next level. How do you teach an 18, 19-year-old or a 20-year-old how to really have that balance when there's not really many things outside of baseball that they have a real, sense of pride and purpose in yet?
Yeah. I mean, you know, obviously in the NCAA, everyone has to have a couple of off days during the fall season, and I call them on your own days. And for me, it's get your work in if you want to. There's the field's there, it's open. You can get your swings in. You can take ground balls. Um, it's also a day for yourself too. And if you need it to go play golf, do it. If you needed to catch up on homework, it's your own. It's on your own. So you can do whatever you need to do. And man, I love the guys that are always out at the field. I love the guys that are always in the weight room. Um, with that, you have to be pretty strong mentally because when you only consume yourself with baseball, that's how you judge your day. If it was a good day, if I did well today at baseball, or it was a bad day because I didn't perform the way I needed to, or I missed a workout, right? Like you said, or I didn't take as many ground balls as I normally do. Um, we need to look at the big picture. Um, I think baseball is an awesome tool that we can use to learn about life, the ups and downs and the failures and the ebbs and flows. Um, my job, I think a lot of coaches will say it. Um, my job is to get you ready for life after Lenoir-Rhyne, right? And that's either, being a doctor, a businessman, maybe it's a pro baseball player, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a salesman, but a husband, professional father, whatever that may be. And my job is to get you ready for life after that. We have to talk to our guys about dealing with failure, dealing with success, having a balance between baseball and schoolwork and extracurricular activities. Because I'm also a firm believer that college is going to be the best 4 years of your life. You're going to meet your best man in your wedding. You're going to meet your groomsmen. You're going to meet, you're going to meet the godfather for your kids. Essentially, you have 4 years of it's learning to be on your own. And I know baseball is a big part of it, but at the end of the day, it's not the only part of it. Baseball is not the defining of your life. It's just something that we do and we enjoy doing it. And I think that's the mindset that we have to have as we, kind of go through, your journey is, baseball is just part of it. It's 4 years, and some people are fortunate to play a little bit more than that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other really cool things that you're going to do in your life. Baseball is just something that we have fun with, and we want to be really good at it. But man, this is what I'm 16 years out of playing for me. I mean, shoot, man, the school I graduated from doesn't even have a baseball program anymore. So no one cares about what I did, 16 years ago. And I know in the moment for an 18 to 22-year-old kid, you live and die by how the day went and the baseball field. But at the end of the day, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's figuring out how to work hard, figuring out how to balance the good and the bad, being with your best buddies every day. And I think the quicker you can realize that and cherish those moments, the more success you're going to have on the baseball field and in life in general.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. That's a great answer right there. It's a great answer. We'll leave it there. I'm gonna kind of switch back into Lenoir-Rhyne baseball here. So you guys just produced what I believe is the best record. You guys just set the best record for Lenoir-Rhyne
Yep.
in school history. First
Yep.
50-win season,
Mm-hmm.
137 pumps, 15, program records broken, not by accident. What are some things behind the scenes that create that type of success? What are you guys doing on a day-to-day basis as far as like baseball development that gets that type of result?
Yeah. Well, the first trick is get really good players.
There you go.
That's the first one. To be honest with you, and I've had this talk quite a bit because they see all the home runs that we hit, 137, I think it was. Coach, like, tell me about the launch angle. Maybe I'm not smart enough to talk about launch angle. Maybe I don't know what it means. We don't talk about the launch angle. We talk about hitting the ball hard in the middle of the field. We work on, and some of the guys that are new to our program, and we have a lot of new guys this year. We've been working on knocking the cone off the pitcher's mound this week. That's what we've been trying to do on a side toss and an overhand throw, trying to knock the cone off the mound, a big construction cone. So I think a lot of people get this skewed view of, man, LR just must throw it down the middle and drop and drive. It's far from that. I've never asked our guys to hit a home run in BP, and I won't. We need to train our swing to be flat and in the middle of the field. And the other trick that I have is you got to be strong. So we're in the weight room a lot, moving a lot of weight. Strong guys hit, in my opinion. Strong guys throw hard. In 16 years, I've never told one of my guys like, "Hey man, you're getting a little bit too strong to play." I've never said that, and I never will. I want to have big, strong, physical players, and the next part about it is developing the swing. And we do a lot of everything that we do has a call it hit the L screen mentality. We want to hit the top right corner of the L screen. That's our swing. We want to basically hit a 10-foot high line drive every time we swing the baseball bat, and we need to groove our swing into that. And when we finally figure out our A+ swing, then we can start hitting the ball with direction, right? Like if I'm gonna throw a fastball inside to you, well, let's hit it true because you know how your swing's supposed to look like, and then we can watch it fly. But we're in the baby steps of hitting right now in our program, because it's a new year and there's a lot of new players and we have a lot of talented players, but we need to find guys. We need to find guys that know how to hit, and that's what we're really doing right now. We do 7 tee drills and we do 7 toss drills that we've been hammering the last month, 6 weeks. And once we get those to a science or close to it, then we can start talking about how we're going to create an offense. I'm a firm believer that there's hitting coaches and there's offensive coaches. I need to do a little bit of both because we need to train our A+ swing. So that's the hitting coach in me. But at the end of the day, you need to score more runs than the other team. We need to figure out we need to figure out how to win a 1-0 game, win a 12-10 game. The bad excuse is, coach, that pitcher was really good. Well, so is ours. So they're going to score 1, and we just got to figure out a way to score 2. Sometimes it's double safety, and then sometimes there's a guy that's throwing 82 with a bad breaking ball, and the wind's blowing out 13 miles an hour. We're going to hit 7 home runs. Winning comes in a variety of different ways. We need to be able to win in any game, right? So, again, our offense hit 137 home runs, but you wouldn't know that, Sal Caricato, McKenzie Wainwright, Cole Stanford could all lay down a bunt for a base hit because we would practice that a lot. And to me, it's just the preparedness that you have to have as a program, because if for some reason in the 9th inning in a 1-run game, and we needed a sack bunt from one of those guys, and I didn't teach him how to do it, well, that's on me, So we practice bunting. We practice how to do it correctly. We practice how to lay down a safety, a drag, a push, a suicide, because that's part of being an offense that you can't get out, right? We scored 10 runs a game nearly this year. And a lot of it was because we hit the home run. But a lot of it was because we put a lot of pressure on the defense, and we would drag for a hit, and then we'd sack them over, and then McKenzie would come up and hit a 2-run home run, and it looked like it was just a home run that got you, but how did we get there, right? So we were able to do it in a multitude of ways, and I think the way I run our hitting drills, the things we do on the hitting side of things. I don't have to be in the hitter's ear every single swing that they take, because if you're doing the drill properly, it'll naturally close up a lot of the holes in your swing. And we always do it the length of the cage so we can see ball flight. And we want to learn how to hit the baseball true, and the next part of our hitting stuff is when you figure out where the base hits are, you need to know your miss. When you don't take your A+ swing, when you're off balance, or the pitcher gets you with a good pitch, how are you going to figure out a way to get a hit? Well, who are you as a baseball player? One of my things I talked to our guys about in our first meeting is hitting 300 is a prerequisite if you want to play. You have to hit 300. But what else are you going to do? Are you going to hit 300 and hit 15 doubles? Are you going to hit 300 and be the best catcher and really get the pitching staff going? Are you going to hit 300 and steal 20 bases? Are you going to hit 300 and do what else to help our team win? I'm not afraid to talk about hits. I'm not afraid, because you need to hit. People say, well, on base percentage is huge. Well, how do you get your on base percentage back? Get more hits, hit more, figure out a way to get hits. And, we always talk about know what your miss is. If you're the leadoff guy that runs a 6.4, why are you F8ing? Why is that in your bag of tricks? Like, your miss should be a ground ball in the 6-hole, because you run a 6.3. That's where you get your hits when you take your bad swing. And some of the bigger guys who do hit 15 or 20 home runs, you're allowed to miss up in the air, because sometimes even if you don't hit it very well, you're strong and the wind's blowing out 15 miles an hour and it goes out of the park. So we have to also train our miss too. Not that we're trying to miss the baseball, but understand when we don't take our A+ swing, where does that baseball go? Is it a ground ball in the 6-hole where you give yourself a chance to be safe? Or is it just a lazy fly ball where you're just out? So we talk about that a lot. And I break our guys up into groups that are their type of player, similar type roles. I actually break them up into slashers, athletes, hitters, and bangers. And we practice those things. The slashers are going to be good at scoring runs, getting on base, and creating runs. They're going to need to know how to bunt, hit and run and hit, handle the bat, know where the barrel's at. They're going to be allowed to hit a home run, but don't make your miss up there. Don't make your miss an F8 or an F9, because their miss needs to be on the ground, because they're table setters. They're going to be the guys who score the runs. And, the bangers, who's our big group, big, strong, physical, middle of the order hitters. We want those guys to drive the baseball through the gaps, over the fence. If you hit a ground ball in the 6-hole, you're probably out. So you might as well try to hit it through a gap. And we learn how to do that. And we train our swings how to hit a line drive through the middle of the field. And I think as an offensive coach, there needs to be some continuity in your lineup. You can't just have 9 fast guys. You can't just have 9 bangers. And we were fortunate to have a really good mix this year of a little bit of everything. We were able to run, steal, hit doubles, hit home runs, and at the end of the day, score a lot of runs. And I don't care how many you score; it just has to be one more than the other team.
Man, you just dropped a ton of value right there. For anybody listening at home, that was awesome to listen to myself. So I'm sure y'all enjoyed that. I like to think of hitting as like golfing. I think they're so similar, and it's just like going to the range. You're not just going to take your driver out there and practice that. You got to practice your pitching wedge. You got to practice punting on the green. You got to practice your, I don't golf, but like, I'm sure you got to practice all these clubs. I don't know. So I've heard, I take my to the range, and that's all
That's
I
right.
But,
That's right.
I think that's how you become a complete hitter. And I think that's why, personally, I had some success, is because I had to go through this ringer of not being a power guy in high school. I had to learn how to bunt. I had to learn how to hit and run and slash. And then once that tool of power did come, my way, I carried on the tools that I'd already developed. And now here I am with the ability to kind of bump my way out of a slump here, or move a guy over when I need to, just because I had barrel control. And then, oh, by the way, if I'm in a 2-1 count and I know a fastball's coming, I can just hit fastball and bang one into the trees out there. So yeah, that was so great. I'm curious, one more time, you said you break your hitters up into slashers and bangers and you said athletes, 4 groups?
Slashers, athletes, hitters, and bangers. And essentially, the slashers are going to be the table setters, the guys that handle the bat, the guys that can do everything. They can do everything. They're probably not going to run 10 balls out of the yard, but that's not what I pay them to do, right? I pay them to score the runs. The athletes are the guys, and generally the slashers are 1, 2, 8, 9 in your order. The athletes are the guys who can literally do everything. They're going to be able to hit a ball out of the park. They're going to be able to steal. They're going to be able to run the bases. They're going to be able to lay a bunt down, and they can hit anywhere from 1 through 9. They're versatile. They can do anything. You can call on them, and they're your guy. My hitters are usually the guys that are not sub-7 runners. They don't do anything crazy. They don't just lose balls. But you've been around a lot of good baseball players, man. There's some guys that, man, what does that guy do well? He just hits. Just finds a barrel. Like and those are the hitters, right? Those are the guys that just know it's line drive after line drive after line drive, knowing their swing. Again, they're usually like the 6, 7 guys in the lineup, 6, 7, 8. Get them into the 5-hole, and the bangers are the run producers, right? They score the slashers, they score everybody else. And don't get it twisted. Like, they all can lay down a bunt. They all can move a runner over. And I one of the staples in our program, I call it swap rounds. And it's swing with a purpose is what I call it. And essentially, I talk in absolutes in these rounds. And this is something we did literally every single day last year. And we move around the world. Everybody in the program, first pitch is a hit and run. What absolutely works on a hit and run? A ground ball. That absolutely works. Because if you hit a line drive to the right fielder, you forgot that Ichiro was in right. He caught it and he threw you out at first and he doubled you off, right? That doesn't absolutely work. Once in a while it might, because it might go over his head. But what absolutely works is a ground ball. A ground ball through the right side is perfect. that absolutely works. You go first to third. The second swing is man on second base, nobody out. What absolutely works? A ground ball through the right side or to the right side, or a ground ball at the runner to the right. If you hit a line drive in the gap, forgot Mike Trout was playing center field, right? He catches it, he doubles you out. So we train on hitting ground balls. We train because that's what wins games. At the end of the day, we need to score runs. If you F8 in that situation, the runner doesn't get the third, and then you don't score a run. The third swing is a man on second base with 2 outs. Baseball's hard sometimes. You got to get a hit. You got to figure out where the hit is. So you get one pitch, you got to get a hit. That absolutely works. A hit works. We score a run there. If you don't get a hit, they're out of the inning, and we don't score a run. Yep.
Now I'm going to pause you there because before you move on, you mentioned one pitch. I think that's so crucial of a piece of nugget of information that you need to expand on, where it's like, hey, you're getting only one pitch per this. If you miss it, what is the punishment? You just move on, so that you're teaching more game-like kind of rep there, or what are you saying if you don't get the absolute down? What happens?
So that is the one that you can't control a hit all the time, right? You know that as being a hitter.
Oh, of course, I'm talking more so like if guy on second base,
sure,
nobody out, dude doesn't hit the ball into the right, onto the ground onto the right side.
Yep, I tell him
you're out. You're out of the cage.
And sometimes we go out of the cage. Sometimes I'll make them do it again and again and again until they do it. Or the next round, they won't move on to another pitch because we need to learn how. It's a staple in our program. It's how we do it. Very rarely am I going to say, hey, man, you're out of the cage. I'm going to teach you how to do it. And if you can't do it at that point, after we've tried to teach you and tried to do things mechanically the way we do it, well, then we got to go back to the drawing board. Right?
Well, we've got a spot right here on the bench right next to me that, you're picking up signs
That's
now.
Right. That's right. So, but again, we had guys that hit, with 3 guys that hit 20 plus home runs, and this was their favorite way to open up batting practice. Ground ball, base hit. And then we moved to the fourth pitch, and it was infield back. And corners in, infield back. What absolutely works is a ground ball to the shortstop or the second baseman. And we would have guys visibly change their swing to get down to that baseball. Because if you hit a fly ball, Vlad Guerrero's in right field, right? He throws us out at home, we're out. And so in order to guarantee absolutely score that run, a ground ball to the shortstop works. And I'll be in the third base box telling everybody, the stadium, hey, give me the best 6-3 you got. Give me your best out short, because that scores a run. If you score more than the other team, you still win, right? So those are important to us, and we celebrate those things. You get out of the cage, and we're all, heck yeah, man, like that's what we do. That's how we do it. And then the last swing, we do infield in, and you can't guarantee that a fly ball works, but I guarantee you what doesn't work is a ground ball. So we need to look for something up in the zone that we can hit to the outfield and give our guy a chance to score on a tag play. And then we'll end it with some kind of a bunt, right? Whether it's a safety, a suicide, a push to score, something just to incorporate the bunt game into our batting practice a little bit.
Yeah, but that encouragement coming out of the tunnel or the turtle after you get done, executing a perfect round of everybody dapping you up and getting fired up, that's culture. Like, that's culture right there. There's plenty of teams that I've been on, all the way from, middle school all the way through the professional rankings. And when you guys just come in, out, it's just a whatever, here to do my business, boom, 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 done. And then you move on. Nobody's giving you daps. So you have no sense of like, oh, I did great, I want to do that again. It's just like, well, yeah, I did my job and on to the next guy. So no, that's awesome, man. That's a ton of great information there. Now, you mentioned a particular player a couple of times now in McKenzie Wainwright. Before here, you said he's arguably I think hands down, the best player that you've ever coached. He set a D2 record, for the season, like an overall D2 record for most hits in a single season. That's a huge accomplishment. What is it about this kid that is just jumping off the pages to you as a coach across, all the other players that you've coached?
Yeah, I mean, You know, when you do this long enough, you're fortunate to have some people play at the next level, and
He's an
a
athlete, right?
couple.
In
Yeah,
your
yes,
yeah.
yeah, he's an athlete. So you're fortunate to have some people play at the next level, play in the MLB, and aside from being ultra talented, um, the most talented hitter that I've ever coached, he is very coachable. He's a 22-year-old sponge. He'll sit down next to me and talk hitting with me. Um, Look at video. The amount of video he's looked at with our assistant coaches and myself, going over his swing, to make it as perfect as it can. Um, there's no, it's not crazy why he's done what he's done. Knowing his God given talent, his work ethic, um, the way his want to be the best hitter. Um, and he's also been outstanding um, with sharing his knowledge and helping our younger guys and through the ups and downs and the tough times and the good times and the hard times and the work and showing up each day. And he's been, essentially another coach on the field. McKenzie is one of those guys who he thrives when you just talk about hitting. He wants to learn more about it. He wants to try new things. He wants to try different things. Um, he wants to keep perfecting his craft. And he's not satisfied until it's perfect in his eyes. And we know as baseball coaches, it's never going to be perfect. So I think he's striving to be the best hitter that he possibly can be. And it says a lot because, McKenzie had 121 hits last year. He hit, I don't even know, I'm making it up, 460 with 25 home runs and 25 doubles and,
Yeah.
a handful of triples
He,
and
he did my
25 stolen bases. I mean, he is, I can say it with a straight face. I'm sure that guy could hit in any lineup in the country in college baseball. And I'm fortunate to be able to coach him. But I think more so that a lot of people who are on the outside don't realize is he's also one of the best humans I've ever been around. Just a great kid, great family. He's a joy to coach. Shoot, he FaceTimed my son over the summer for his birthday. Like that's the
Let's
kind of
go.
guy he is,
There you go.
just a genuinely great human. And he happens to be really, really good at baseball. It's been quite a ride coaching him last year, and I'm fortunate to get to do it again this year.
Yeah. Oh, he's coming back.
He's
Or
back.
I guess he is back. Yeah,
He's
I
back.
did player of
Yeah.
the year too, right?
Yeah. National Player of the Year. Yeah.
Oh my God, let's go, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's huge. Credit to Lenoir-Rhyne, definitely putting on out there. Definitely, if I had to guess, yeah, I think he's going to be the best player to come through there. So when you get
Yeah.
that
He
type of
might
accolade,
be.
they might need to name this stadium after him. Or John Ryan, I know your name's on the
Yeah.
scoreboard. Like we're just going to put McKenzie Wainwright out there. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So you talk about the types of recruits that you're getting in here. I'm curious now on your recruiting strategy. Are you guys full just like focused on the portal? Are you guys? I mean, obviously you are, but are you guys even focused on high school players anymore, or is it just like, hey, I understand that a high school player could come in and we can develop it over time, but I can go get McKenzie Wainwright, right down the road, and he's gonna show up day one, ready to be in my lineup. Like, how are you attacking that?
We want the best players we can get. Sometimes it's high school guys. Sometimes it's transfers. Sometimes it's JUCO guys. I love to get high school guys. I wish we could have 9 freshmen that start this year because recruiting would be really easy for the next 4 years. We would have a great team for 4 years. The issue is that when you come to what I consider a good program, um, early on in your career, you better be really good to outplay the 20-year-old, 22-year-old, or you better be ready to mature, understand how we do things, and be ready to play maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years. We had 12 high school guys in this recruiting class this year. We love high school guys, and we recruit good players, right? We recruit good players. We want the high school guys, though, that have the mindset that this is an investment. We're not just here for, you're not just here for a year. And if you don't play, you're going to go find somewhere else. Um, we're big on development. We're big on the weight room. We're big on development on the baseball field. We recruited you because we think you're really good, and if you stay the course, you're going to have a chance to perform at the highest level. And like I said, we don't care if it's high school or junior college or transfers. We have an open mind, and we've also found that in this day and age, there's been some trickle down effect, and obviously with us kind of accelerating our program and being one of the top D2s in the country, we're able to get some of the guys that 6 years ago we couldn't out of high school, right? We're able to get that next tier of recruit. I mean, it's something that I bring up to those guys is, you could go to any mid-major that you like, that you want. You could go to a ton of D2s. How much do you value winning, right? Because at the end of the day, you might not, if you go to the mid-major Division I, and I'm not knocking it because this is what I did. I went to the mid-major Division I, and I never played a meaningful game, technically, in my life. Do you want to have your best case scenario, for the most part, have your season end in a regional? Or do you want a chance to possibly play after a regional, in a super regional, or maybe even in the World Series? And I think we're at the point in our program where we're able to bring that up and talk openly about it, that, that is a goal for our program, is to go to the College World Series and hopefully one day figure out a way to win it. I've been to 2 of them and I haven't won one yet. So I can't tell you that I have the recipe for it, but I think we're at a spot in our program where, in our first team meeting, we can talk about our goals and finishing 500, win the SAC, win a regional, win the super regional. Mm-hmm. We can talk about going to a World Series now because we actually have done it. And it's not crazy to think about anymore. We're looking for guys that have the same goals and aspirations that we do as a staff. We want to be able to take the really good player, whether it's high school or junior college or transfer, and keep developing them until they reach their full potential. And it might be a high school guy who's here for 4 or 5 years, and could be a junior college guy, but we don't discriminate. We don't care. We like guys who like to play baseball. And
if you can hit, you can hit. If you can win, there's a place for you at Coach Skonieczki's program. I'm curious your thoughts real quick. A couple more questions and we'll wrap up here. I've been seeing a ton on social media, hearing some college coaches at the D1 level talk about summer baseball and how it's now just become like a pool to be able to like poach from. I'm curious just your own personal experience with like sending guys to like a Cape. I don't know if you guys are sending guys to the Cape or the Coastal Plains League or the Northwoods League, like where you guys are sending your guys. Are you worried that anybody's leaving? Are you guys using that to kind of go get some guys out there? Like, what is your mindset on summer collegiate baseball right now?
Well, I think there's a lot to that answer. Like one of the things that I always fall back on is you need to have the right culture in your program, because you want to have guys that want to be back at Lenoir-Rhyne. You want guys that want to be here. So I don't necessarily worry too much about our guys going out and getting poached, not because they're not good enough, but I feel like we also, I think it's important to send your players to places and programs that you trust, that that the summer coach or the summer general manager and ownership is going to take care of your guys and not necessarily push them to another program, and I also think you're towing the line, right? You got to be careful nowadays. If you have a guy that threw 50 innings for you, does he need to go throw 25 in the summer? Probably not. But on the flip side, I love sending our guys who don't get a ton of playing time out, because that's a time for development. Especially our freshmen and our sophomores who maybe hadn't seen the field a lot. I think it's a great thing for them to go experience live hitters, live at bats. I'm still up on summer ball. I do think it's good from the development aspect.
Oh, it's great.
I'm sure there's, yeah, I'm sure there's people who, and coaches that approach it the wrong way. I'm sure there's coaches in the summer leagues, and I'm sure there's coaches at other programs that are using it more as a showcase to try to supplement their team. We don't, obviously. I mean, we summer ball is for our current players to get better. And again, we're also fortunate that if they want to stay around Hickory, they're more than welcome to train on their own. And again, I think we've got to the point where our culture is pretty tight. They know what to do when we're not around, and how to lift and use the facilities. And the main thing is, I want you to make sure that you are getting better at what you want. And if that's to be a pro baseball player, then you better get in the weight room. You better stick to your long toss program. And I think it's important for, like I said, our young guys to play summer ball and figure out how to get outs, not just figure out what the TrackMan says or what the metrics say. Figure out how to get outs, because I'm about to tell our guys in our first scrimmage today, if you want to pitch for us every day, or have a chance to pitch every day, I don't care what the TrackMan says. I don't care how much your breaking ball spins. I don't care if you throw it 96 if it's not in the zone. If you can't get outs for us, if you're going to walk guys, if you're going to give guys free bases, you just won't pitch for us, And so I think that it's a vital part of development in college baseball, is to face actual hitters, not just throw it into a 9 square, or not just throw it, in a facility where there's nothing at stake, right? There's a huge part of training your getting your pitch metrics up, and making sure you're throwing hard, and making sure that spin efficiency and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we also need to train how to get outs. And to me, that's what's going to play for Lenoir-Rhyne University.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. That's great. Yeah, you got to get outs. Plain and simple. Score more than the other team and get outs quickly. That's it. About summer ball, I think I'm just going to move on if it comes back to me. But yeah, this has been a great conversation, man. I want to hit you with some closing thoughts here. What is it that you look for in the player in high school? Maybe that you're recruiting out there. Like, what does a high school player need to do right now to kind of stand out and maybe get on a school like Lenoir-Rhyne's radar, or just another school of your caliber?
Sure. For me, from a pitcher side of things, I love guys that work with tempo and can throw multiple pitches in the zone. There's nothing worse as a fielder when the guy catches the ball, walks around the mound, fixes his brim, takes 10 seconds to get the sign, deep breath, and go. I want a guy that's just going to get the ball, get on the mound, and go with some moxie, some tempo, feel like he's commanding the game. If you're in the zone with fine stuff, we'll develop you into more velo, get a better breaking ball. Like, we'll develop you into that. And, I've recruited a variety of different guys who could do one thing really well. He could throw a fastball. His arm speed was there, but the radar gun was only showing 85. But he could throw a slider, So something told me that something's going to click soon, and you take a chance on a few of those guys, and they turn into 92, 94 guys in a couple of years. And so I'm looking for athleticism. And the same thing goes on the hitting side of things too. Are you athletic enough to make a change in your swing if the swing isn't perfect? And how do you move? To me, like I call it the gimmicky swings, the uphill, the feet sliding all over the place. That stuff's not important to me. Like, I want to see how you make contact, how you approach the game, how you play the game, your pace of play. Do you have a motor? Do you look like you enjoy playing baseball? Do you play with integrity? Do you play fast? Do you play hard? And again, I know a lot of people play fast and play hard and with integrity, but they might not be good enough to play. Do you do all those things, and can you play a little bit? I like athletes. And I also like the big strong hitters. Because I think strong guys hit. So I look for a lot of different things. Sometimes, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that sometimes I love, but we can't offer them because we have that guy already in the program, or we have two of those guys in the program.
Didn't fit.
It's not because I don't like that kid. It's just what you need, your immediate needs for your program, and what you value. So, I love to have athletes. We have 3 scrimmages this weekend: Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and our whole infield is playing a different position the next 2 days, because I want you to be able to play everywhere, just in case someone goes down, or just in case you don't play short as well as I thought you did. I know you can play third now. I know you can play second. I know you can play first, and it's our job to make sure that you can play all those positions. And we need to put you in that position to succeed, because if game 5 rolls around and you've never played first base, and I put you at first base and you make 3 errors, that's my fault. So we're looking for guys that are athletic, open-minded, want to try new things. Like, coach, I'm just the shortstop. Well, okay, then you're just going to be sitting next to me if you're not the best one, So yeah, we love athletes. We love to move guys around, and again, athletic on the mound that we can make adjustments to, we can make changes to, and see if there's going to be some future development.
Let's go, man. Hey, you fire me up, man. I'm ready to freaking run through a brick wall. I'm ready to go get. I already mentioned it, but I'm ready to go get another lift in, maybe. Let's answer some just quick fire questions and get you out of here, man. You kind of talked about this already, but outside of McKenzie Wainwright, best hitter
best hitter that I've coached, I'd have to give you a couple of them, man. Sal Caricato and Cole Stanford. Both
now,
LR
Sal
guys.
is jacked, dude. I just saw a picture of him.
Sal's huge.
That's a big boy, man. I'm looking at him right now with the Bryce Harper freaking eye black on his face. He's got an All-American sleeve on his left arm. Whatever. This man needs – tell him – I don't know, but tell him he needs a freaking tattoo sleeve on the other one. Oh, my God. I don't want to see that dude in the box.
Sal Stanny, Drew Yanesta was another really good one. A couple years ago, we had Drew. And in my Buffalo days, we would have to probably go with Vinny Milaro was really good. And back in Georgetown, we would go with Martin Lemus. Those are my top 5 for my stops.
There you go. Favorite active MLB player right now?
I'm a Yankees guy, man. I love the way Judge goes about his business, and he's pretty darn good. So Aaron Judge.
MVP this year or Cal?
Man, that's a tough one too.
Is it though? Is it though? He's hitting 240, coach.
So
he does the catching. He does the catching.
I looked at it this morning because I'll be honest with you, I'm not like the MLB guru, man. Like when I'm done with baseball at 5:00, like let me watch some reality TV or something.
Same. So I don't watch a lot.
I went back and looked at Cal Raleigh, and I'm like, oh man, he hit 60 jacks, but he's hitting 240. I'd pick Judge. But again, I think there's a lot of people that value different things in today's game of baseball.
Yeah.
So I'd pick Judge.
Last one right here. Where can people find you? How do they get in contact with you?
Yeah. Obviously, you're going to see the most real stuff on Twitter, right? It's at Coach Skonieczki. Instagram is Adam Skonieczki, I believe it is. And then I'm really open with my email too. If you guys have any questions or want to talk more about hitting, I'm always open for a good hitting conversation. So, you can find me at those places. I think Twitter will probably give you the best dive into kind of how we do and what we do and what we do in Lenoir-Rhyne and kind of keep you up to date on what's next with the baseball program over here.
For anybody that wants that information, I'll make sure that it's down the link below wherever you're listening to this podcast, or if you're on YouTube, it'll be down in the description. Coach, man, you've been so generous with your time. I really, really appreciate it, man. Keep doing all the wonderful things for Lenoir-Rhyne and pushing that program in the right direction, man. Really excited to see you guys in the year 2026, hopefully back in the College World Series, and this time, taking it all the way, hoisting that first ever trophy for the program, man. Keep doing great stuff. Actually, last question: Where does a 2016 Matt De La Rosa hit in your lineup? Do I make it? Am I in there?
Oh,
Do I get in
oh
there?
yeah, oh yeah. I always
Where
got
am I
room
at?
for better.
7? I got 8.
Oh,
I ain't
shoot,
hitting
man.
3 and 4. I'll tell you that much. And I
I
hit
could
1
see
and 2, maybe 2.
I could see in the 2 hole. That's what I would say. I like my guy who can handle the bat a little bit, create some havoc. And I actually led McKenzie off this past year, so
Okay.
it would give you a lot of opportunity for some RBIs too.
Where would Justin Dean be at? Where you got Justin Dean?
Oh man,
If
Justin Dean would be the table setter, man. I'd have to. We'd go
bump me
1-2
down?
with you two, and no,
No,
we'd go
McKenzie's
one
up
two
there. You
with
got to
you
put
two.
McKenzie up there, dude.
I'll
Put
put
me in the
McKenzie
6
in the
hole,
three
coach. Give me
hole.
those fastballs. I'll take one for the team there.
That's good. That's good.
Awesome, man. All right. Thank you again. And everybody, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.
Thank you.
Trying to end this. Press an end. Might have to leave here. I'll just give you a call after this.
All right, great.